Very soon after the announcement of my appointment here in Brooklyn at the end of September, a good friend of mine, a classmate who is a priest of the diocese, sent me a text. He said, "So I just talked to a neighborhood guy, not a churchgoer." He said, "Hey, Father, you guys are getting a new bishop. I hear he's a farmer from Idaho." My friend replied, "Really? I thought he was from Ohio." And the fellow went on to explain, well, that our new bishop wasn't an actual farmer, but that he grew up on a farm. Now, if you don't already know me, you can't escape knowing everything about me due to all the coverage in the media. And I'm very grateful to St. Francis, DeSales Media, to all the local media outlets for their generosity in their coverage. I'm sorry that you guys had to endure so much of me, but I am very, very grateful. But anyone now who doesn't already know me knows that I come from the South Shore of Long Island. Born in the Bronx, a city roots, but from the South Shore of Long Island. I spent 50 of my 59 years right here on Long Island, Nassau, Suffolk, and Queens even, breathing in that salt water air. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved these last 3 years in Ohio, and I'm deeply grateful to all of those who came from Ohio. You really touched me deeply. You made my life there such a joy, and it means a lot that you would make this trip. I love these last years in Ohio. I love the variety of life. I told them that all the time, and I especially coming to know and love rural life. One of the priests brought me today a bag of popcorn from the seed that I planted on a tractor. I was ready to spend my life there. And quite honestly, I kicked and screamed a little when I learned that I needed to move. I met wonderful people and worked with heroic and holy priests. I wouldn't trade these last 3 years for anything in the world, and I will always appreciate the opportunity afforded to me. However, I would go around asking, so where do you keep the boardwalk? Where's the beach? Somehow, though, the Lord in His providence has called me back to the shore. I must admit, coming back this way, there is something familiar, even comfortable. On Friday, I went for a walk exploring the area, and I found myself midway along the promenade to the Manhattan Bridge, looking out over the Brooklyn Bridge, the skyline of lower Manhattan, and of course, one of those ships on the water, and in the distance, the Statue of Liberty, a symbol of welcome, a symbol of hope for immigrants, and in some ways, an icon for this great diocese of immigrants. Now, I will say that standing on Manhattan Bridge, I was breathing in a little bit more than saltwater air. Subways going by, cars and traffic. It's a little different than the South Shore of Suffolk County, but this is now home. This is home. I look forward to living and praying among you, to serving you with every ounce of my being. So today we are all of us, called back to the shore. Today's feast, and very particularly the gospel taken from Matthew, brings us spiritually, scripturally, to the shore of the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus calls two sets of brothers to come and follow him. Their lives would never be the same. Jesus speaks similarly to us, renewing that call, "Come after me." He wants to be involved in every facet of our lives. You know, Andrew, the apostle, seems to get Jesus in a way that the other apostles don't. He understands. Andrew is always bringing people to Jesus. He understands that Jesus came precisely to engage, to teach, to heal, to forgive, to bring life, to be involved in their daily lives. And so while the others seem to want to protect Jesus, isolate Jesus, keep the crowds away, Andrew's always bringing them close. The Gospel of John tells us that Andrew brings his brother, Simon Peter. We have found the Messiah, he says. So transformed was he by that powerful encounter with Christ that Andrew couldn't help but become a missionary, sharing the experience of encounter with his own brother. Later in the Gospels, he brings the Greeks who approach Philip. And in my favorite episode, he brings the young lad who carries the 5 loaves and the 5 fish rather, and the barley loaves. You see, I'm not a big fish person, sorry. He brings the 5 fish and a couple of barley loaves, which Jesus will multiply miraculously to feed a crowd of 5,000. This last episode gives us another insight into Andrew. Do you notice how when everybody else was wringing their hands, Andrew was out and about in the crowd? He was out among the people, talking to them and listening to them. In the same fashion of Jesus, he was stepping into the nitty-gritty of the reality of the people. He could sense the need, but he knew who had something to offer. How did he ever come up with those 5 fish and 2 loaves, except by engaging and listening? He was in and among the crowd, building up communion among the followers of Jesus. Frankly, the idea of a basket of 5 fish and 2 loaves of bread, it wasn't a very good idea. It wasn't going to do very much, but he brought it to Jesus. He brought it forth, and he let Jesus decide what to do. Andrew's apostolic zeal is an example of what we mean when we talk about synodality. We've been talking about synodality, walking with, listening, engaging, and bringing to Jesus. Friends, isn't that our task today? Isn't that what Pope Francis speaks of in the joy of the gospel? The church which goes forth is a community of missionary disciples who take the first steps, who are involved and supportive, who bear fruit and rejoice. An evangelizing community knows that the Lord has taken the initiative. He has loved us first, and therefore we can move forward, boldly taking the initiative, going out to others, seeking those who have fallen away, and standing at the crossroads to welcome the outcast. An evangelizing community gets involved by word and deed in people's daily lives. It bridges differences. It's willing to abase itself if necessary and embrace human life, touching the suffering flesh of Christ in others.